boys and girls, students of secondary and tertiary education, all youth members, parents, grandparents, and teachers of Dharma classes. Good morning. May you all be well, happy, and peaceful. We're going to have a presentation pertaining to the smartphone. And I have put the title as Unwise Use of the Mobile Smartphone. As you all know, practically everyone, the young and the old, owns a smartphone. Even primary school children have smartphones. Now, this presentation will tell you some very important things about the wrong use of the mobile smartphone and the consequences. Now, this presentation has the text in English and Chinese. The Chinese is done using Google Translate, so it might not be 100% accurate, but it will help those who are not so proficient in English to understand better. The narration, together with the comments and explanation, are in English. So, as usual, we will go over a PowerPoint and I will explain each of the slides. So now let us launch the PowerPoint slideshow. So this is slide 1, the title, Unwise Use of the Mobile Smartphone, or you can say the smartphone or the handphone that has, very, very fantastic features. Can surf the net, and then you can use WhatsApp and many other apps. I think most of you would know. I don't have to explain this. And here I just put in some pictures of the very beautiful smartphone, so slim and small, but yet so powerful. But there is also inherent danger if you use the smartphone unwisely. So we are going to look at various things. Now let us go on to slide number 2 now. This actually is put as what Einstein feared. It was many years ago that I received, it was an email on this issue of the abuse of smartphone. And so I have taken some of the information and the things from the email that was sent many, many years ago. But actually that time already, right, we had the smartphone already, right? Now, what Einstein feared? Now, you know Einstein, one of the greatest scientists that ever lived, right? I think most of you would have heard of him. Fantastic scientist, highly intelligent, and I think you know that he got the Nobel Prize for physics, and you can have a look at all the various photos of Albert Einstein, and he was really full of intelligence and also wisdom. So he was afraid of certain things. He mentioned it, or he wrote about it. So now let us go on to slide number 3 now. Right, slide number 3. This is slide number 3. The day that Albert Einstein feared may have finally arrived. Now, you might be wondering what that day is. It's not the end of the world or a major world war or things like that. It was actually pertaining to high technology. And high technology includes so many things, as you know. Now we have so many modern electronic devices, and then also we have so many of those different types of communication tools. And the smartphone is one of them. apart from many other technical things which are in use. Now, so this is the day, right, when the smartphone together with other devices pose a danger to us if used wrongly or abused. Now here you can see, right, the animated images. Einstein, he was also teaching in the university at various very famous universities in the US. Now let us go on to slide number 4 now. Let me take off the video first. Okay. So now let us go on to the next slide, which is number 4. Now, the pictures tell a lot of things. So by looking at the picture, you will know what the lesson is, what the message is all about. What has it got to do with the smartphone, right? Now, the first picture shows people or friends coming together for a coffee break or coffee chat. Suppose, I think, people go to the cafe and then go to maybe coffee shops, and then as they drink the coffee or even take light snacks or breakfast, they will chit chat, you see. But today, you can see this situation very common, where these friends, right, were supposed to carry out interpersonal conversations which can benefit you in terms of speaking, learning, and social interaction. But instead, they are more interested in their smartphones. So they spend their time, right, looking at their own smartphones or all sorts of things. But most cases will be, looking for messages or Facebook, all those friends, what happens to them, and then also all those many sort of videos or even picture clips, entertainment, exciting sort of events, all those things. I think very few would use at this time the smartphone to learn something, isn't it? Right? So it'll be more like maybe sending SMS messages, sending WhatsApp messages. Of course, the phone also can use SMS, but then you have to pay. Whereas now you have WhatsApp messages, or you can even use Facebook messaging, all sorts of communication tools. But here is telling you not that we can't use the smartphone in a wise way. I also use for communication and so on. But you see now they have become sort of so young ones, even the old ones also, not only the young ones, have become addicted and they have abused the smartphone, using the smartphone unwisely. So like in a situation like this, as you know, all right, instead of talking to their friends and conversing, they are more concerned with their smartphone, maybe the things in their Facebook messages or the pages or their YouTube channel or whatever It's more of my, me, I, that sort of thing. So I have put this important message. Addition to smartphones has destroyed relationship. Yes. Foolish actions of smartphones can kill friendship. Now let's look at the relationship. In families also you find, if there is a wrong use, so parents will be so busy with their smartphones and they also, do not carry out good bondings and good relationship with their children. And some children also you find will be on the smartphone lots of time, spending a lot of time. So a relationship has to be built on, communication, understanding, right? Sharing in a real way, right? Not like the case when the father wants to call the son from upstairs to come for dinner. He has to use the smartphone, right? To send him, that sort of thing, and he will say, then he will reply also smartphone. So in time to come, they they don't know how to communicate clearly in terms of speech already, right? Because it's always just using the WhatsApp messages lah or whatever, even icons, right? They will put a okay in terms of an icon, right? So be careful of this. So you see, let's say we have good friends. In the olden days, the good friends would meet and they will share very important things where the minds are working, isn't it? Because you have to think in order to speak and share. But now, many are not so interested in face-to-face talk and conversation and sharing. They are more interested in the smartphone now. It's not that the smartphone is not good. It's the wrong use and the abuse. The smartphone, of course, is a fantastic technological device. It has helped in so many ways. But the danger comes when you use the smartphone wrongly or foolishly. So you find that when friends do not physically really get close to one another in terms of communication, using proper speech. So in time to come, the friendship begins to cool, right? So they rather be with a smartphone than visiting friends like those days. No? Maybe once a while they do, but the smartphone has occupied a lot of their time, see, affecting in adverse ways. So that is something not good, right? Whereas friendship has been nurtured, right? And you can, go out with friends, outings, and even entertainment like theaters once a while and all. These are good ways of socializing. But now the handphone has become something like more significant than even people. Right? So this is what we observe. Now let us go on to the next slide, which is number 5. This is a day at the beach. A day at the beach. Now, when people go to beaches, what do they do? Actually, to have relaxation, right? And to have some clean fun, right? To rest, right? And also to have good play, swimming, playing beach games, and so on. But then this picture tells a very important message that these people going to the beaches, instead of having the proper socialization, each will be spending so much time on the beach with their own mobile phones. And what do you think they are looking at? What do you think they are reading from the smartphones? I would say, as I have observed also, in most cases, it's not pertaining to important messages or communicating with important people at that time, which is necessary, maybe emergency call or something like that. It's not that. Most of the time, you'll be looking at entertainment stuff. Maybe America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent or all those. Now we have TikTok. So a lot of those things are entertainment things which actually don't make the mind think creatively. They make the mind just, getting very excited, interested, absorbed in whatever they see or hear from the smartphone. After we see some adverse effects coming. But here, don't you think it's very silly? You're going to the beach. You're supposed to, maybe interact, socialize with your friends, and then also have some good laughter physically. This is relaxation, isn't it? And then you can also have exercises at the beach, swimming, for example, and then you can even play those beach games. So many traditional things which were done those days without the smartphone. But today, so many are caught. I'm not saying you are like that, but I can tell you there are many like that. Right? Now, I've put in these animated images of Smiley and so on, so as not to reveal the faces of these people which were actually taken from the internet. But then I was thinking I should not identify anybody, not trying to criticize anybody, just for a lesson lah. So the beach is a good place for de-stressing. Yeah, many people like to go to the beaches. Then you can, take it easy, relax. But then the foolish ones get stressed by this mobile thing. They see some very exciting games or watch things which are not really beneficial at all, right? Advertisements encouraging you to buy. And then looking at the images sent by so many people, the messages, even the short video clips, what their friends are eating, and where their friends are touring. So all this generate certain states of mind which are not very good. For example, they can become more greedy, wanting the things that they see, right? And then also they engage in gossip. They have gossip news and so on. So if we are not careful, this abuse will lead to a decline of spiritual values, moral values. You'll be more interested in things that give you fun and pleasure. Not to say this is wrong, but then you find that you always do these sort of things, it can be very harmful to the mind. Then you have many other, setbacks or disadvantages, abuse due to the abuse. Now let us go on to the next one, which is slide number, now is slide number 6, I think. This is what happens at a sport game or a competition. Let's say you are going to watch a football match, or you're going to watch maybe a match in the inter-school or whatever lah. So, those days, of course, you have people cheering, very, very happy to see their friends playing or their teams and so on. So they'll be quite engrossed. But today, you have people, instead of cheering all this, they are more concerned with themselves, with the smartphone, what they can get from the smartphone. Again, they will see all those things. So why I was wondering going to watch the match. Of course, some would not. They will stay at home and play with their mobile phones, even the children and so on. There's a time for this, there's a time for that. But now you find it's a sort of addiction, So using the smartphone unwisely or foolishly. Instead of cheering, in those days you have the pom-pom cheering and so on. Those are very good things. And they can help you to develop in certain things like being very happy when other people are successful. You cheer, you feel very, very distressed because you are cheering and then liking to watch the match. So these are people, you can see many actually, even the adults also, right? And then some will be checking the mobile phones for adults on the share market or things like that. So you find even at times we're supposed to relax, they're supposed to, cheer people during competitions or matches. Instead, they will be at their mobile phones. So beware, the smartphone can make your self-centeredness grow and grow. Before long, your connections with others decline in life's flow. Yeah, this is one very, very dangerous sort of abuse, which means using the smartphone so often in situations which you should not be using. You can keep it, you can off the power and so on, And then because the situation is for other things and not for you to fiddle around with the smartphone, right? So you see that they become very self-centered if you become addicted. That means they are only interested in things for their own entertainment, fun, pleasure, right? So you don't have much time really to think about other people or to reach out to other people, right? To help them. When they reach out to other people, it's more for sharing entertainment stuff or aimless chit-chatting, you see. So I'm not saying this is not good. I'm just saying that it's the lampao already, not balanced anymore, all right? Then you are not doing things which should be done, like for example, taking up a hobby, or, helping somebody in need, doing charity, dana work, and so many other things which don't require the mobile phone, which require your physical presence, your concern. So this is lacking now because of the time being spent on the smartphone. So what will happen? Before long, you find your connections with others decline, which means you don't establish very good relationship. You are more with other people. You don't have consideration, or connection with other people. It's more what I get. Oh, I want to see this. I'm entertained by this sort of thing. So it's me, my, I again, everything. And that is not a very good sort of thing for interpersonal relationship lah. So that is this thing you have to be careful. Now that is number 6 now. So now let us go to number 7 now. Having dinner with your friends. I think this is a very common thing. When you go to restaurants, or you go to, or sometimes you also are involved in the dinner. I've taken out Dharma speakers together with their family members for dinners, and we will have a good conversation, right? Exchanging our views. So I remember one case, the family brought the two sons along, and the two sons, instead of listening to the talk or the conversation, are busy with the smartphone. So the parents very, very wise, ask them to put them away, not to use this. It's not necessary, isn't it? So now you can maybe even participate. They are not babies, they are secondary school students. You can listen to what people have to say, and you can join in the conversation, isn't it? But now you can see the situation. You can see these 4 friends. They're supposed to be friends, exchanging important things and so on. But during the dinner, while waiting for the dishes, and some while eating also, they do 2 things at one time. Right? One spoonful into their mouth, and then at the same time look at the smartphone. I've seen this sort of thing, and that is not a good thing. And you get into the habit. Someone becomes an addition. So you're trying to, do two things at one time. And here, of course, it's foolish to, spend time when you should be having interaction with your friends out for dinner, isn't it? So using the smartphone at an improper time is foolish indeed. Right? Now you can see even people using smartphone while they are driving. Using smartphones when they are riding the motorbike. I've seen that also, right? All sorts of situations, they're using the smartphone and endangering the lives of not only themselves, but other people as well, traffic accidents and so on. So wise ones use the device. That means here in this case it's the smartphone. Wise ones use the device at suitable times when there is a need, right? Or if you want it for entertainment, then there is also time set for entertainment, isn't it? Time to study, a time to interact and socialize with people, right? A time to exercise, all those. But now is more time for this instead of even exercising. So you see that is this danger. We have to be very careful. All right. So all the pictures tell a very important message. Now let us go on to the slide number 8 now. On an intimate date, dating, pak tor. Of course, when people maybe they have already finished their studies, right? So they go to find a girlfriend, boyfriend, that is quite expected, you see. So sometimes, okay, they will have dating. But then, we are not Americans where they go dating at, very, very young age. So here, you see the situation. When the time comes, you go for dating, trying to meet boys and girls, and you get, let's say now, there is a dating. But you find what is the purpose of this dating and so on? Courting, courtship period, is to get to know the other party who can be your wife or your husband later, isn't it? So it's very important that there is interpersonal relationship and conversation, getting to know. But now, because a smartphone, some can't even talk much already, right? They have not practiced enough conversation. So you can see this situation. These two let's go dating, but a lot of the time is spent looking at the smartphone and doing all sorts of things with the smartphone. As I mentioned already, all the various things, right? Let's say you want to check certain thing, there are other times, isn't it? Right? Unless it's an emergency call. But those days we never had those mobile phones and so on. How we manage also? Also went for dinner and so on, right? But no phone at all with us at all. We don't have. The time was not invented, you see. So now people have a sort of abuse, even at situations where there should be communication, finding out more about another person, right? And then trying to carry out intelligent conversation, right? That can benefit your mind. But here now, there's abuse. So now the danger is when one finds virtual things better than reality, relationship matters can bring dukkha certainly. And this is what happens even in the families, right? So the family members, instead of bonding and doing projects or hobbies all together and so on, more time is spent on their own smartphone, right? And then the good qualities of cooperation, patience, everything are not being cultivated through physical activities lah. So what happens is, they become intolerant of other people and so on. So, it will lead to a breakdown of relationship, right? Within the family and also, in a situation like this, boy-girl dating or courtship. So this is something also you have to think about. So that is slide number 8 already. Now we have to go on to number 9. This also connected with just now, having a conversation with your best friend, not only during dinner time or breakfast, but sometimes, you maybe just go into the garden or whatever lah, with your best friend or carrying out an activity. But less and less conversation already because a lot of time now is given to the smartphone. So in the garden also they're lazy to walk around, right? And then carrying out a conversation. Instead, two fellows will be sitting. Of course, here is another makan situation lah, but then it could be other situations. You saw in the beach just now. And then I give you now another example. You're supposed to go to a garden or park and then to walk and then casually and then carry out intelligent conversation, but they will find a bench somewhere and sit down there for a long time and playing with the smartphone. And some get so engrossed in the smartphone games already. Everywhere they go also they can play, that's sort of thing. So how much valuable time is lost when the time should be spent for very useful things to develop their minds, to develop their character. So the smartphone also has a lot of good things, you see. But, what is more attractive to them will be things that titillate the senses, entertainment, singing, dancing, magic show, all those TikTok gossiping things, exciting things that make you laugh. I'm not saying that you can't see those things, but it's the lampao already, too much of those already, to the extent that you become addicted. And even psychiatrists or psychologists have shown over a long period of time, this can make your minds dull, right? And can get you into negative psychological states like even depression. We will talk more about this later on in other slides. So good friendship can before long lose its meaning when one gets addicted to this smartphone thing. The word is addicted, addiction, indulging in the things, right? It's not that the smartphone is a useless thing, it's a wonderful gadget. Now the topic is the abuse and unwise use, Right. So you find that good friendship is not cherished, it's not nurtured. So in time to come, the friendship becomes cold and eventually break up already. You're not in contact, you don't even bother, about meeting with the friends physically, carrying out conversation because you have lack of time already. You spend so much time in the smartphone, then for students, they have no time to do their assignments and so on. So they cut down some other things like not going to meet friends, things like that. So of course, a lot of abuses. You see, those days, best of friends, they go outing, or they go, touring places even, or sometimes go to the cinema, go to sports events and so on. So there's actual physical interaction. Now, this has been taken over by the smartphone. Now let us go on to number 10 now. Let us say, look at this situation, very funny. A group of them, right? Or maybe sometimes it is a tour organized by the college or organized by the certain groups or the school, society, and so on. You find a museum is a very good place to learn things, right? To have good education. You can learn about history, you can learn about art, the cultures, and all those things, educational. But these people are not interested, you see. The young or the teenagers, even adults also same. So instead, they find a place to sit there and then spend their time on their smartphone, doing all the things I mentioned before. So these pillars have been conquered by the smartphone, entertainment, and fun, and good education becomes the losing one. Not only in the museum, for example, let's say science centers or art galleries so many of those traditional places which offer very good education, and it's live, right? Not just reading from the books, but a visit to those places, But instead, they don't learn much from that. But if they can learn from the smartphone, not so bad. But I don't think you find that if you make a survey, most of the time we'll be chit-chatting, looking at things that can be very exciting for them. Entertainment stuff and all those, I think you will have watched TikTok and all those stuff. But of course, there are some things are good in TikTok also, but I seldom, just sometimes, do my work. So this TikTok, appears in the, Facebook or, what, interruption. And I very seldom I seldom spend time on that, once a while only. But I find that too much of, unnecessary sort of things. Now let us go on to number 11 now. This pertains to going for touring. When you want to go for touring, you are as tourists. What is the idea? The idea is, of course, you can, apart from enjoying yourselves in the real life situation, all right? Like, with the friends interacting. And then one very important thing from the tourist places, you can learn a lot of things, isn't it? You have the tour guide and so on. But in this picture is very amusing, maybe there's one person that drives friends, right, to tour the city, a city lah. So as you have a city tour, you can see so many important things in it, right? You are in London, for example, right? Let's say you go on a city tour, then you can there's a guide also that explain to you. You see the history of the Tower of London, or the Buckingham Palace, and many other places are very useful information for your knowledge, right? But these people, here also, you're not looking at all those touring places. They are more concerned with their mobile phones. And actually, many of them are also caught up in the games of virtual reality. I think you know very well in the smartphone, you have so many apps that you can download for playing games. I'm not saying you cannot play games, I'm just saying that there must be a balance, right? For your education, for your mental development, right? For your spiritual development of the mind, then the mind becomes balanced. But here you find most of the things pertain to this virtual reality. Virtual reality, that means you are looking at the smartphone that is not real, and some people can be even cheated, as you know, through just the virtual thing. Somebody appears on the smartphone, asks you to do this, do that, and some even jatuh cinta over what they see at the smartphone through Facebook contact or WeChat or whatever lah. So many social media platforms, and then they get cheated, right? They think that they have fallen in love and so on. So much time on all those things. So the mind loses the value of knowing true beauty, of knowing reality. And this is emphasizing on touring places and seeing the beautiful things and learning from our environment and so on. It's lacking now, you see. You ask them, let's say you ask teenagers of today, things pertaining to, let's say, the important spots, what are the wonders of the world, what is the capital of this. Mostly they wouldn't know, Of course, they go to school, they study to pass the exam, but they do not have the knowledge of the things around the world. Of course, you can find all this in the smartphone, but to them, very boring, isn't it? More exciting will be playing the games, chit-chatting, gossiping, and then look at all those fun things. Once in a while, you can do that, but then they are not interested to get the knowledge. So you find if you are caught up like this, you'll be, lacking in knowledge in many fields. That's what I found, right? Whereas those days, they don't have this. So these students that I taught in the 70s, they would read a lot, so they're very knowledgeable, you see, of history, of geography, of many things which they don't study in the school, of great literature books, and all those things, now hardly lah, because Mara has conquered us with all the distractions, so that's terrible weakness lah. Now let us go on to number 12. So we have seen some of the images that show the abuse or foolish use lah. Actually, there are many, but this one just a selection only. After we go over in terms of words, no more pictures of the harmful things that can come when you use the smartphone foolishly. Now let us look at one quotation. This was supposed to be a quotation from Albert Einstein sent to me a long time ago, but actually you don't need an Einstein to really tell you this also, right? If you think wisely and carefully, you know that this is really true, I fear the day technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. What do you mean by this? It means that our technology will be so advanced. Like today, as you know, technology is so fantastic. You have drones, you have fantastic smartphones that can do wonders. Then you also have other means of telecommunication. Then you have all sorts of gadgets that can entertain you, robots, for example, and so on. So technology is very advanced, but the morality, the social interaction, right? That building up the values through the old-fashioned ways are all lacking already. So what do we produce? We produce maybe a generation of people who are very good in all those technological stuff, but they do not know how to use those. There is a lack of human interaction. There is no growth of moral values like kindness, metta, compassion, right? Sacrifice, patience, all those things lacking because there is lack of human interaction. It's more interacting with the machines, with the gadgets, which can be very helpful for us in our living. But they forget the other aspect. So you have a generation, right, that lacks in good human values, right? And also lack in creative thinking. Of course, there will be a group that can invent this quite creative, but for the majority, they use it in the wrong way. So they don't develop in terms of education. That's why, even in the 70s, when I taught general paper in the Form 6, so we discussed a very important topic called this. Technologically, man is a giant, but morally, he's a pygmy. And that, if you think how true it is, you see the world, with all the advanced technology, has it brought much peace and suffering all over the world? You have trouble spots, isn't it? Wars, how many get killed today? You look at the world situation, so many wars are still going on, and battles in various parts of the world. Right? So has technology improved on the human understanding, improve on the morality, all this, right? So this is very important for us to think about, especially parents, grandparents that are bringing up children. So if you're just basing on just getting technology and all those things and forget about the other aspects of our morality, of our spiritual qualities, that means following the religious teachings. So they don't develop the mind in very important areas like growing in compassion, wisdom. And you see today, we have high technology, but you hear of suicides among the young people, isn't it? K-pop, I think recently there's another one, a few have committed suicide. Right? Technologically, and also in terms of wealth and all those physical things they have. But the mind doesn't have those good qualities of real understanding, wisdom, kindness, compassion. And because of that, they cannot face with any challenges of life, right? And they cannot cope with the dukkha. Sometimes girlfriend runs away, boyfriend runs away. In your cases, they will jump down the high-rise building and commit suicide. So that's why you have a generation, you are not careful, that is like an idiot. Cannot think wisely, right? Would not know how to respond to situations that happen in the world. Einstein pointed out this, I think very, very true. Right? Even education in our place now is emphasizing on getting all the A's, you see. So that's why you see more crime or maybe social problems and corruption is rampant, as you know, makan suap. So that's what will happen when human values are not, right, imparted and implanted, especially into the children and the younger generation. So this is a very good lesson that we have to think about. Now let us go on to number 13 now. So this, I don't know how far it is true that this statement comes, that in the eyes and mind of Albert Einstein, will there be more idiots? Actually, it's for us to just think and ask ourselves, that has our education system produced more and more caring people, more and more moral people, more and more kind people, and less of self-centered people, less of immoral people. You can think about that. And if the education system produces and also other factors like upbringing and so on are all interrelated. That people who are lacking in kindness, moral values, compassion, love, right? Sacrifice, patience, tolerance. If these things are lacking, then actually we are producing idiots in the sense that they are only concerned with themselves already. And the mind is not good. The body may grow, but the mind does not grow. You see? So this is another very important thing we have to give attention to. So that is this Albert Einstein. He has given many, many good quotations and so on. You can check internet. But then you see when people look at the smartphone, you think they will check what Einstein has to say on things that are wise and so on. I don't think so. Mostly we'll be using the smartphone for many other things which are not really benefiting the mind in terms of growth as a human being. Now let us go on to number 14. So this is it, yeah. Now we are going to look at a set of dangers, or you can say disadvantages, right? Of ill effects that can come. So there are 2 slides for that. Altogether, that I have listed here 10, right? And this one actually based on what I have learned from the psychiatrist statements or the psychologists or the experts in terms of the health, in terms of education. We have experts who have done wonderful job. So when I go over this, I find very, very true, right? Now, the first one is damage to the brain and mind. As you know very well, if a person overuse and abuse the smartphone, you can affect your health, isn't it? And your brain can be affected. Your brain is receiving too much of the stimuli, a lot of things, all those. So you are overtaxing the brain. And then also the mind. The mind, as I pointed out just now, a lot of setbacks. You don't learn the useful things, but instead, right, you might be absorbing undesirable qualities. Accidents on the road, and just now also I mentioned already. There were instances where the person driving, and still looking at maybe the WhatsApp messages or what on the smartphone. Wow, yeah, even Einstein couldn't do two things at one time. And then, this case, I think, happened in the Klang Valley. So one car went over the other car like a Superman going over because he was distracted by the smartphone. So a lot of instances, the accidents on the road I've seen for myself. So, wow, riding a motorbike or trying to look at maybe it's a WhatsApp message and so on. You can wait, isn't it? Or you can stop at the side. Foolish use of the smartphone and accidents happen. Even to write without using the smartphone, I have to pay attention with concentration, mindfulness, because they are rampant, reckless drivers and so on. And just now we mentioned the real relationship problem, isn't it? Then you intend to come, you don't know how to socialize well already, right? You are just like maybe a dumb robot. A robot can be very smart also. So then you find that you cannot relate to people well already, right? You can't carry out a conversation. You don't know how to communicate in terms of speech, right? Because you have not learned all those things. You're more concerned with entertainment already, isn't it? And that's terrible. And the psychological effects of addiction. Now, some research work has shown that if a person has become addicted, just like a drug addict, there are terrible things of drug addiction, isn't it? Health is affected, your mind also, you really turn upside down already. So likewise, if you have become addicted to the smartphone, that you ignore many other things, there will be terrible psychological effects. And some research has shown that, then the depression will increase. Depression or anxiety, right? Or restlessness, impatience. So all these negative psychological happenings in the mind, a time will come that you get so bored already. Every time looking for new things, more new TikTok things. So boredom and then impatience, and then you become very restless, the mind. Not like, one who also uses a smartphone, but he even meditates, he finds time to meditate and contemplate and learn the Dharma and then do Dharma work. Now, that type of mind, you see, far superior to this person who has become addicted to the smartphone and developing in a later state anxiety, restlessness, depression, then become mentally unwell. It's true, I tell you. No, I tell you, actually, the Pata, the psychologists and so on. And health problems, lah. The people who have become so addicted in watching certain things over the smartphone and so on, they don't have enough exercise, right? And then they don't even pay attention to proper regular meals at proper times, right? They get so absorbed in the thing already, so they don't have a proper regular meals, isn't it? Or fast while walking, while watching the things that they like at the smartphone, at the same time eating the burger and so on, all this junk food. I think you know now. So many health problems. I'll just tell you this interesting piece of, you can say humor or what lah. Right? So there was this boy, maybe Form 5 or what. So, would always feel lethargic, like very tired, the mind not alert. So he went to see a doctor. Then the doctor examined the organs, everything seemed to be okay. Then the doctor asked him, do you exercise or not? Right? Then he said, yes, every day I exercise. Then the doctor said, oh, do you play games? He said, yes, I play games. I play football and some also tennis and all those things. Well, doctor, so that's very good. How long do you play these games? All right. He said, until the battery goes off. Look. He's actually referring to the games that he plays on the smartphone. That is contributing to a lack of exercise, and you are, of course, affected. You don't feel alert and fresh and healthy and robust. You are lethargic and so on. So a lot of health issues come. So these are the first 5 of the adverse effects, right? The bad effects. Because why? Not because of the smartphone, but because you have used it foolishly. You have abused it. You have become addicted. That is the issue. Technology is neutral. I find the mobile phone very useful, you see, but you must be careful. right? Some spend hours chatting or gossiping. Now let us go on to the next one. This next one lists another five, just now five. Problems of the eyes. This is very true. The eye specialists, or what we call ophthalmologists, have also given the warning that if you use too often, right, and prolong hours, no rest for the eyes, looking at that screen, and that screen is a very bright screens, they want it bright also. And then worse still, some even on the bed at night already in the darkness, still want to play around with the smartphone. So you develop problems of the eyes that will come later, some years. So this is a dangerous thing, isn't it? And experts, the eye specialists have said that now they are seeing more cases of even young people developing visual problems. That means now they need maybe more high-powered spectacles, or maybe they develop astigmatism, and many other eye problems. Whereas, those things, you don't have all those sort of things. So they will go to the young ones, sometimes go to the park, the garden, see the greenery and so on. And then, of course, they do a lot of reading, but then also for the rest, you see, it's different. Now it's looking at a mobile phone screen or maybe a laptop and so on. And all these will have some sort of a radiation, right? So you have to be careful. And then another problem is muscle and nerve problems in your hands and fingers. And people have reported that already, when you want to, key in. Of course, you have the voice message, but mostly still use the typing, key in. And then, when you want to get a message, or you get a message and there's a picture, you find very, very small, right? The font. So you start using your finger to enlarge it and so on. So you find, again, the specialists have said you can get, the sort of problems of the muscle in your fingers. Your fingers become stiff and so on. A lot of problems can come in your hands and fingers. So when I send those messages, the post, the Dharma post, actually I do all the work using a desktop, which means that it is a larger, it has a larger screen, the fonts are big and so on, so I don't strain my eyes so much. So when these people receive, you can actually view the thing on the computer screen, which is larger, because you just have to transfer your WhatsApp thing onto, or you sync, like they call it, you sync, put the WhatsApp onto your laptop or onto your desktop, right? So this way, whatever you can get on the smartphone, you can view it on your desktop or your laptop. Many people have that at home already, isn't it? So this will be large. So the day I was telling a few older people who didn't know of this, I say, no, you can very easily just put the WhatsApp, you can Google and find out if you don't know what to do. Very simple. Then you find that you can even do all the things that you can do in your mobile phone. And better still, you can enlarge the font and do many things that you're going to investigate for yourself. Then the seventh one, eighth one. The eighth point is the negative mental state setting in. Just now I mentioned already. Abusing it. Too much of the use of the smartphone, looking at the things. Then you find develop negative states. Restlessness, impatience, desiring, greed. Because you see your friends, wow, my friends went to the North Pole already. They send the video clips, they send the photos, and then say, oh, yo, another friend, you see, wow, in that very fantastic restaurant. So all those things build up the greed, especially when you don't have Dharma education. And this, even young children also are watching all these things. So complain to the parents, Mommy, you see my friends, they go touring everything. Why you not like that? I cannot have this, they eat that, everything. Oh, young kids have found like that already. Why? Learning from the social media. And there is no balance of Dharma education. So you find putting trouble when they grow up. They don't have the tools in the mind to embrace the things that come, which can be very challenging. the problems of life. Why? Impatience, restless, and then jealousy, all right, and then the ego, all sorts of negative states all setting in because of abuse, no balance. If you see this, but you have the Dhamma, then you begin to think, you see, these fellows wasting the money away. There are so many people who are so poor, and they are taking one dish, $200 or some, they even send to their friend. This dish I took cost $100, all those things. So these sort of things can be very harmful to the mind and to the value system of a person. So compassion, how to grow? Kindness, how to grow? Mostly will be now me, my, I, what I can get. How, just like my rich friends. Then you have a decline in social interaction skills. And this one we have mentioned in so many times already. Then you don't know how to interact well with other people. Can't even converse well with other people. Right? In time to come, you just like a dumb person in a way already. Right? And it's terrible, isn't it? So when the social interaction skills, you don't know how to be polite, how to greet a person, what sort of things should be said, and all those stuff. Because they are not learning. Actually, the smartphone has also good things. You can learn actually a lot of these things from the smartphone, but they are distracted by those things that titillate the senses, what they see, what they hear, all the fantastic images, the exciting actions, right? And what we call the programs, they are fantastic graphic, isn't it? A very well produced one, the sort of thing on this one. Of course, it's not that you cannot watch all this, but they have to be balanced by other important things like receiving your religious education. For Buddhists, very important. You must receive the Dharma education from young. But how many Buddhists do that? So you see the problems that can arise in the future. So that is this number 9, right? The adverse effect, right? Or the terrible things that can come. So all this arise because of foolish use and abuse of the mobile phone. And they can lead to this sort of negative situations. Right? And this happens for both the young and the old also. But I don't deny that the smartphone has a lot of good things also. But sad to say, usually the not beneficial things attract people more. I mean, let's say you ask a person whether he wants to use a smartphone to follow a Dharma lesson, like for example, this presentation, how many would watch? Only a very handful. I realize that. But, well, those people who have the yen, all these, they will learn. So actually, mobile phone also, a lot of these things, I learn a lot also from the high tech, to get the things. Otherwise, I can't do the postings also. Right? I need the information and then put them to try to convey the important things. But Mara will win. Mara means the evil one. It's actually our mind department. We always want to be entertained, isn't it? It's not that you cannot be entertained, but it's always wanting to be entertained. For example, how many people will want to reflect on the suffering that happens in Africa or in the war, to reflect and then say, why? They will think, how many will do that? Not even the adults, you see. Until the time comes when they're faced with the problem, and then the regret can set in and say, I should have learned all these things to make my mind more peaceful and to be able to handle things better. That's too late already, isn't it? Then, of course, the last point, problems in real life communication are connected with the other one, the social interaction. You can't communicate well already. Let's say you are supposed to give a speech, right? And then you are supposed to carry out conversation, or you are going for an interview. Many situations that require verbal communication. How much you have learned, and then to think in quite a fast way, and then to communicate, to explain clearly, right? To answer questions intelligently. Very difficult. Why? Because all the time, most of the time, you are spending on entertainment stuff. The mind cannot think creatively and cannot think divergently, and it's just entertainer. Very nice. This one, you see the TikTok so funny. I laugh and laugh and laugh. So if you are not careful, this is what will happen, right? So I hope I don't know why I got this idea that I find that, well, I criticize people, I criticize situation, but I must tell myself, okay, I criticize, but what can I do to help? So I find one way will be education, very important education. So then I spend quite a number of hours to come up with this presentation so that, well, there will be people who can benefit, or parents, grandparents, or teachers will watch this and then can educate them better from young especially. Now even primary children are suffering from the ill effects of using the phone, We have that also in the primary school. But this is very suitable for the youths and also the secondary or college students. Now let us go on to the last slide already. Now this is the last one already. This one I put the quotation. When technology is not used wisely, it will lead us to trouble and misery. That's what we have been talking all about. This is to sum up. The foolish use, the wrong use of technology. And here we emphasize on the smartphone. But actually also, you know, another topic will be the social media. If you don't use the social media wisely, you will suffer. Like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, WeChat, all sorts of things. They are quite useful, but wrong use can generate the problems for you, for your mind. So remember this, when you don't use technology wisely, you find that it will lead you to trouble. Like these students, for example, right? Copying, maybe they want to copy certain things, and then they can keep the things in the mobile phone. They can even download it and print out the thing, right? And then copy in the exams. Or now you have cases also. Some young people, they use the smartphone. Smartphone also you can take digital shots, camera. They go and peep into the toilets or bathrooms of this one happens usually boys right? They go and take some of the lady changing clothes or taking off their clothes, taking the bath in many cases, and this involves adults also. You see, so you don't use the technology wisely so that is terrible. And then there are many examples I have no time to tell you. I've come across students that become addicted to the smart games until they become like a zombie already. Really, maybe another post I'll tell you of some of the cases I encounter. Students' addiction to all those games, and now also convenient with the mobile phone, and they become like zombies already. Okay, so now we have spent, I think, more than 1 hour already, right, on this presentation on unwise use, you can say foolish use of the mobile smartphone. I focus on this phone, which is a common thing. So before we say sadhu 3 times, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all the young ones, the youth members or college students or secondary students particularly, and also the parents and grandparents who are educating the young ones to have proper value system and to use the time wisely, and of course also to the teachers of the secondary students in the Dharma classes. So sadhu to all of you. Thank you for taking time and putting the effort to follow this quite long presentation. So thank you very much. Now let us put our palms together and say sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. To all of you who have followed this presentation, thank you and sadhu. May you all be well, happy and peaceful. And may you all use your smartphones very wisely so that your mind will develop very well in a good manner. Right? Sadhu. Take care.